Can the outperformance of small cap stocks continue here in early 2026? That is the question we want to quickly address here in this video. If you look at the chart here on your screen, you can see three lines. One of them is much higher than the other. It's the blue line. It's the Russell 2000 IWM ETF, the small cap ETF, small cap index. It's up almost 6%, call it 5.7%. Basically year to date here in 2026, so far here in January, while the S&P 500 is essentially flat and the Nasdaq 100 down a touch. Question is again, can this continue? Well, to give you a little bit of perspective here, just technically, where we're at right now, I think this chart here should go a pretty long way. This here is looking at the Russell 2000, the chart that you can see here, the one that includes the three parallel blue lines, essentially goes back to a pattern that has been in existence since, let's call that summer of 2022. So 2023, 4, 5, let's call that 3.5 years or so. That's a decent amount of data. What we can look at when we see it this way is that there's essentially a very upper end of that range, a very lower end of that range, and then sort of something that's kind of in the lower quarters of that where we had a couple of overshooting moves. All else being equal, we probably have to say that the odds of a complete overshooting from here in a meaningful, lasting way is probably very, very small. Even if we were to break higher, just like we broke lower here and then quickly sort of V-shaped back higher, that is the likely sort of path if we overshoot. So if the Russell were to overshoot from here, it would probably then come right back down, consolidate, and then maybe ultimately go back higher. So to me, the reward to risk here on quote unquote chasing small cap stocks, the Russell 2000, the IWM ETF, is quite weak here. I personally wouldn't be doing that. That's obviously not a recommendation. This is purely an educational video here. But just keep that in mind. You know, typically in the early part of the year, first half of January, you can see a lot of funds doing things and rebalancing and buying this and that and the other. So while I see the reason for small caps going higher, I get it. I think this is probably not the spot here right now, at least for me, to start getting after this trade. So hope it helps. Put a perspective here to start the week.